called a worthless dropout and cast out by my family. 5 years later, I saw them again at my sister's graduation party. Her professor asked, "Do you know her?" I said, "You don't even know the half of it." They didn't recognize me until, "You're nothing but an ugly college dropout. Don't you dare show your face in this family again." Can you even imagine hearing those words from your own mother? Those were her last words to me, echoing in my ears as she slammed the door in my face. I stood there, suitcase at my feet, watching through the window as my younger sister, Cassandra, laughed with our parents inside. That was 5 gut-wrenching years ago, and for a long time, I wondered how anyone could recover from a betrayal like that. My name is Athena, and I was 22 then, the family embarrassment. The one who was too plain, too ordinary, too much of a failure to deserve their love or support. Cassandra, on the other hand, was everything I wasn't: beautiful, smart, driven, and most importantly, their golden child. Growing up in Nashville, I learned early that in my family, love was a performance, and it was entirely conditional. My parents, successful business owners, had precise expectations. We were supposed to be accomplished, flawless representations of their status. Cassandra fit that mold. I absolutely did not. The day everything fell apart is burned into my memory. I was in my 3rd year of college, studying graphic design. I loved it. Bringing ideas to life, working with colors, it was my passion. But my parents? They hated it. They wanted me to study business or law, something prestigious they could brag about at their country club. "Graphic design is for people who can't do real work," my father sneered. "You're wasting our money on this nonsense." My mother was even worse. She never missed a chance to compare me to Cassandra, who was pre-med. "Your sister is going to be a doctor." "What are you going to be? Someone who makes pretty pictures?" The constant criticism just wore me down. Every phone call home was an interrogation. Every visit was a lecture about my choices, my appearance, my future. They made it crystal clear, I was a disappointment. When I started struggling with depression and anxiety, they told me to stop being dramatic. My grades slipped, and they threatened to cut me off. I tried to push through, but the pressure was unbearable. My mental health plummeted. I stopped going to classes, I stopped eating, I stopped believing I was worth anything at all. Then, one particularly dark night, I made the decision to leave college. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't see any other way out. When I told my parents, the explosion was immediate. My mother screamed for hours about how I'd embarrassed them, how I was throwing my life away. My father just looked at me with pure disgust and said I was no longer his daughter. And Cassandra? She stood in the doorway, a smirk playing on her lips. She always enjoyed seeing me fail, it made her shine brighter. They gave me 1 week to pack my things and leave. No financial support, no place to stay, no family to fall back on. I was completely on my own, and I was absolutely terrified. I ended up couch surfing at friends' apartments for months, working whatever jobs I could find to survive: waitressing, retail, cleaning offices at night. Anything to keep myself afloat. I truly felt like I'd hit rock bottom. But something shifted in me during those dark months. Maybe it was anger, maybe desperation, or maybe just pure, unadulterated stubbornness. I decided I wasn't going to let them define me anymore. I wasn't going to accept their version of who I was supposed to be. I saved every dollar. I taught myself advanced design software using free online tutorials. Every spare moment, I built a portfolio. I reached out to small businesses, offering to design logos and websites for cheap, just to build experience. And slowly, agonizingly slowly, I started to build something. It wasn't easy. There were nights I went to bed hungry because I had to choose between food and internet access. There were times I wanted to give up, when that voice in my head, which sounded suspiciously like my mother, told me I was foolish. But I kept going. And eventually, things started to change. My work got better. My clients got bigger. My rates went up. I moved from couch surfing to a tiny studio, then to a one-bedroom. From freelancing, I started my own design agency. 5 years passed. 5 years of working myself to exhaustion, of proving everyone wrong, of becoming someone I could be proud of. I'd cut off all contact, changed my number, moved across the city. I wanted nothing to do with them. Then, one warm spring evening, a message popped up on social media from an old high school friend. She was inviting me to Cassandra's graduation party. My sister was finally finishing her medical degree, and the whole family was throwing a massive celebration downtown. The invitation felt like a trap. Why would they want me there after everything? But as I stared at the message, something shifted inside me. Maybe it was time to face them again. Not as the broken, desperate girl they'd thrown out, but as the woman I had become. I spent a week debating. Part of me wanted to just ignore it. I'd built a good life without their help, without their approval. Why go back now? But another part of me, a part one hadn't quite silenced, wanted them to know I had survived. I had thrived, even. The party was at one of Nashville's most exclusive venues. My parents spared no expense for Cassandra, they loved showing off. I decided to go. Not for their approval, not for some emotional reunion. I went because I wanted to look them in the eye as an equal and show them exactly what they had thrown away. The days leading up to it were strange. Memories I'd tried to bury floated back, being 8, showing my parents a drawing praised by my teacher, only for my mother to barely glance at it. 13, overhearing her tell her sister I'd be the plain daughter and hoping I was at least smart enough. 16, getting my first design award, only for them to brush it off because Cassandra had made the honor roll again. Every memory reinforced the same message: I wasn't enough. Not for them. But now, sitting in my own apartment, surrounded by the success I'd built from nothing, I realized their opinion didn't matter anymore. I had proven myself to the one person who counted, me. The evening of the party arrived. I spent hours getting ready, not to impress them, but to feel confident. I wore an elegant black dress I'd saved for, carefully did my makeup, styled my hair. When I looked in the mirror, I saw someone strong looking back, someone who had survived. The venue was even more extravagant than I'd imagined. Crystal chandeliers, white flowers, a string quartet. My parents' signature over-the-top display. I arrived fashionably late, giving me a moment to observe. The room was packed with people I recognized from childhood. Cassandra stood in the center, a stunning white dress, beaming, parents flanking her, radiating pride. That familiar tightness returned to my chest. That was supposed to be me. But I'd failed their expectations, and they'd discarded me like I meant nothing. I took a deep breath and stepped further into the room. People glanced my way, but no one recognized me. 5 years had changed a lot. The scared, depressed college dropout was gone. In her place, a woman who had learned to survive. I made my way to the bar. "Athena, is that you?" a familiar voice asked. It was Professor Howard, one of my favorite art teachers from college. He looked older, but his kind eyes were the same. He taught at the medical school now. Cassandra was his student. "Brilliant girl," he said. He paused. "I heard you left school. I always wondered what happened. You had such talent." His words hit me hard. Here was someone who believed in me. "I had some personal issues," I said carefully, "but I'm doing well now. I own my own design agency." His face lit up. "Really? That's wonderful. I always knew you had it in you. Your work was exceptional." We talked for a few minutes. His genuine happiness for me was more than I could say for most people in this room. As he excused himself, I watched him go, grateful for his kindness, but acutely aware of how isolated I felt among people who were supposed to be my family. I moved through the party like a ghost. People looked at me, their eyes sliding over my face without recognition. I was near the dessert table when I heard my mother's voice. She was talking to a group of women, all perfectly coiffed, all with the same practiced smile. "We're just so proud of Cassandra," she gushed. Medical school was challenging, but she never gave up. She's always been so determined, so focused, unlike some people. The way she said some people was a dagger. Anger flared up, hot and sharp. "Yes, we're very fortunate," my father chimed in, joining the conversation. "Both of our daughters have done so well. Cassandra is going to be a doctor, and our eldest is very successful in business." I froze. What was he talking about? They disowned me. Told me I was nothing. And now they were lying to their friends, pretending everything was fine, pretending they were proud of me. One woman asked, "Oh, I didn't know you had another daughter. Where is she? I'd love to meet her." My mother's smile strained. "She couldn't make it tonight. Work commitments. You know how it is." The lie was so casual, so rehearsed, I wondered how long they'd been telling it. How many times had they pretended I was still part of their perfect family image when they had thrown me away like garbage? I wanted to march over there and expose them right then. Announce to everyone that I was the daughter they were lying about. But something stopped me. Maybe self-preservation. Maybe strategy. Or maybe I just wanted to see how far their lies went before I revealed the truth. I decided to observe more, to gather information. I moved around, listening, picking up pieces of the narrative they'd constructed. It became clear, they told people I was working abroad, too busy with my successful career to attend family events. An elaborate fiction where I was still their accomplished daughter, just conveniently absent. The realization made me sick. They wanted the credit for raising two successful daughters without actually dealing with me. As I processed this, Cassandra walked past. She glanced at me briefly, her eyes sliding over my face without a flicker of recognition, and kept walking. My own sister didn't recognize me. I followed her, curious to hear what she'd say to her friends. "Your family must be so proud," one friend said. Cassandra laughed. "They are. My parents have always been supportive. They pushed me to be my best." Another friend asked, "Do you have siblings?" "I have an older sister," Cassandra said, her voice careful. "But we're not close. She made some bad choices a few years ago, and we don't really talk anymore." Bad choices. That's how she described my breakdown, my depression, my struggle to survive. Some people just can't handle pressure. My parents did everything they could for her, but she threw it all away. She dropped out of college and basically disappeared. We have no idea what she's doing now. The casual cruelty stung more than I expected. She talked about me like I was a stranger. I wanted to confront her, to shove my success in her face, but I held back. The evening was still young. I found myself near a quieter corner. Professor Howard reappeared, this time with a middle-aged man in an expensive suit. "Athena," Professor Howard said warmly, "I want you to meet Dr. Gregory, the dean of the medical school. I was just telling him about your design agency." Dr. Gregory extended his hand. "Pleasure to meet you. Professor Howard speaks very highly of your work." My heart skipped. "Actually," Dr. Gregory continued, "we've been looking for someone to redesign our medical school's website and branding materials. The current design is quite outdated. Would you be interested in discussing a potential contract?" This was a major opportunity, the kind that could take my agency to the next level. And it was happening here, at my sister's graduation party, while my family pretended I didn't exist. "I would be very interested," I said, keeping my voice professional. We exchanged information, and he promised to reach out. "Opportunities come when we least expect them," Professor Howard smiled. My mind was spinning. Things were about to get very interesting. I stepped outside onto the terrace, needing air. Anger, satisfaction, confusion, vindication, they all swirled inside me. I heard footsteps and turned to find a woman in her 50s, elegant and poised. "Needed a break from the crowd?" she asked. "Something like that," I replied. "I'm Helen," she introduced herself. "I'm a colleague of Cassandra's father." She studied my face. "You look familiar. Have we met?" "I don't think so," I said carefully. Then her eyes widened. "Oh my goodness. Are you Athena?" My stomach dropped. So, someone did recognize me. "Yes," I said quietly. Helen's face transformed with genuine warmth. "I've heard so much about you. Your parents mentioned you're doing very well in business. They said you're working overseas, but I'm so glad you could make it tonight. Cassandra must be thrilled to have her sister here." The lies were even more elaborate than I thought. "Your father showed me some photos of your work last month," Helen went on. "Beautiful designs. He was so proud. He keeps a portfolio of your projects in his office." This was too much. My father kept a portfolio of my work? The same man who called my career worthless, who disowned me for pursuing it. "That's surprising," I said, an edge in my voice she didn't seem to notice. "Oh, he talks about you all the time. Both his daughters are so accomplished. You must have wonderful parents to have raised such successful children." I felt sick. They were taking credit for my success I'd achieved entirely without them. Success I'd built from nothing after they abandoned me. "Excuse me," I said abruptly, "I need to find the restroom." I went back inside, my hands shaking with rage. I had to confront them. Expose their lies, right now. But then I saw my parents, surrounded by admirers, Cassandra glowing. A public confrontation would make me look bitter and petty. They'd spin it as me being jealous, unstable, the problem child they always claimed I was. I needed to be smarter. I needed evidence. I pulled out my phone and started recording voice memos, documenting everything, the lies people were telling me about how proud my parents were, the elaborate fiction they'd constructed. As I was doing this, I saw Cassandra head towards a private room. I followed, keeping my distance. She entered a smaller conference room. I waited a moment, then pushed the door open slightly. Cassandra was on her phone, her back to me. "I know, Mom," she was saying. "I'm handling it. No one has asked about her specifically. Everyone believes the story about her working overseas." She paused. "What if she shows up?" "Mom, she doesn't know about the party. We didn't invite her. Even if she found out, she wouldn't have the guts to come back after 5 years." My heart pounded. They were actively discussing keeping me away. "The trust fund?" Cassandra continued. "Yes, I spoke to the lawyer last week. Since she's been out of contact for so long, and there's documentation of her dropping out and cutting ties, we should be able to claim her portion was forfeited. It'll take some time, but he's confident we can make it work." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My grandmother had set up trust funds for both of us before she died. I'd never thought about it, too focused on surviving. But apparently, my family had been thinking about it quite a lot. They weren't just taking credit for my success. They were actively trying to steal money that was rightfully mine. Cassandra laughed. "Don't worry, she made her choice when she dropped out. She chose to throw her life away. That money is better off with someone who actually did something with their education. Someone who made you proud. She chose to throw her life away, as if my mental breakdown was a choice. As if their years of emotional abuse had nothing to do with it." I backed away, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. But I had recorded the entire conversation. Proof. Proof of their lies, their manipulation, their plan to steal from me. I walked back to the main hall in a daze. This wasn't just about embarrassment, this was about money. They were rewriting history to claim my inheritance and maintain their perfect image. I needed advice. I texted my business partner, Jordan. Need legal help. Family trying to steal inheritance. Have recording of admission. What do I do? His response came quickly, do not confront them yet. Leave the party. Meet me at the office tomorrow morning. Bring everything. We'll handle this properly. He was right. I needed to be strategic. But leaving now felt impossible. I had come here to face them, and I wasn't going to run away again. I steadied myself and walked back into the heart of the party. My father was preparing to give a speech. I positioned myself near the edge of the crowd. He climbed onto the stage. Good evening, everyone, he began. Today we honor my daughter Cassandra, who has worked tirelessly to achieve her dream of becoming a doctor. Applause. Cassandra stood beside my mother, radiantly happy. As a father, he continued, there's nothing more rewarding than watching your children succeed. My wife and I have been blessed with two remarkable daughters, both intelligent, both driven. I felt my jaw clench. He was doing it again. Pretending he was proud of me. Our other daughter, Athena, couldn't be here tonight due to work commitments overseas, my father said smoothly. But she sends her love and congratulations. Athena has built a successful design business and travels extensively for work. We're proud of both our girls. The ease with which he lied was staggering. Family is everything, he concluded. To Cassandra. The crowd echoed, raising their glasses. I didn't raise mine. Professor Howard ended up near me again. Lovely speech, he commented. Though I'm surprised your sister couldn't make it. I didn't know you had a sibling until tonight. I looked at him. He seemed genuinely confused, not trying to trap me. That's interesting, I said slowly. Because I am his other daughter. Professor Howard's eyes widened. He looked from me to my father, then back. I don't understand. He just said you were overseas. He lied, I said simply. I'm right here. I've been here all evening, and no one in my family has recognized me because they haven't seen me in 5 years. Not since they disowned me for dropping out of college. The professor stared. But he just said he was proud of you. He said you have a successful business. I do have a successful business, I clarified. But he has no idea what I've been doing. They've been making up stories to save face with their friends. Professor Howard looked genuinely shocked. That's unconscionable. Why would they do that? Because they care more about their reputation than they do about me, I said, the words bitter but true. Before he could respond, Dr. Gregory joined us. Everything all right here? He asked, sensing the tension. Professor Howard looked at me, giving me the choice. I made a split-second decision. Dr. Gregory, I said, I need to be honest with you about something before we move forward with any business discussions. He looked intrigued. Go ahead. My full name is Athena, and my last name is the same as Cassandra's because she's my sister. I'm the daughter my father just mentioned in his speech. The one he said was overseas. Dr. Gregory's expression shifted to confusion. I don't follow. You're here. You're not overseas. Exactly, I said. My father lied. He's been lying to everyone here about me. The truth is, my parents disowned me 5 years ago when I dropped out of college due to mental health issues. They cut me off completely, told me never to contact them again, and pretended I didn't exist until recently. Apparently, now they've decided to start telling people I'm successful and busy with work overseas. They're using my real success, which they know nothing about, to make themselves look like good parents. Dr. Gregory looked from me to the stage, then back. This is a serious accusation. It's not an accusation. It's the truth, I said, pulling out my phone. I have a recording of my sister on the phone with my mother from earlier tonight. In it, they discuss how relieved they are that I didn't find out about the party and show up. They also discuss plans to steal my inheritance, claiming I forfeited it. Professor Howard's face had gone pale. Athena, this is terrible. I had no idea you'd been through such an ordeal. Most people don't, I said. Because I've been focused on rebuilding my life rather than airing my family's dirty laundry. But I came here tonight to face them as someone who had succeeded despite them. What I didn't expect was to discover they've been lying about me for years and plotting to steal money that belongs to me. Dr. Gregory was quiet, studying my face. Can you prove you are who you say you are? I pulled out my driver's license. I believe you, he said finally, and I'm appalled by what you've shared. However, this puts me in an awkward position as your father is a respected colleague. My heart sank. Of course. But Professor Howard spoke up. Dr. Gregory, Athena's family situation has nothing to do with her professional capabilities. I taught her. Her work was exceptional. Punishing her professionally because her family is dysfunctional would be grossly unfair. Dr. Gregory nodded slowly. You're right. Athena, I'll be in touch next week as planned. What your family has done is between you and them. Your work speaks for itself. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. I saw my mother heading in our direction, a welcoming smile plastered on her face. Dean Gregory, my mother called out, approaching with someone. She stopped short when her eyes finally landed on me. For a second, I saw a flicker of recognition, then confusion, then panic. Athena, she whispered, the color draining from her face. Hello, Mother, I said calmly. Lovely party, though I noticed I wasn't invited. My mother's mouth opened and closed like a fish. She looked at Dr. Gregory and Professor Howard, clearly trying to salvage the situation. What are you doing here? She finally managed, voice tight. I was invited by a friend, I said. Though I've been here for over an hour now, and this is the first time anyone in my family has recognized me. Interesting, isn't it? My mother's eyes darted nervously. People nearby were starting to notice. We should discuss this privately, she said, reaching for my arm. I stepped back, avoiding her touch. Why? You've been discussing me publicly all evening, telling everyone how proud you are of me, how successful I am, how I'm overseas working on my thriving business. Might as well keep it public, don't you think? You don't understand, my mother hissed, her pleasant facade cracking. We were trying to protect the family. Protect the family? I repeated loudly enough that several people turned. Is that what you call disowning your daughter? Abandoning her when she was struggling with her mental health? Kicking her out with nowhere to go? You made your choice when you dropped out, my mother said defensively. You threw away everything we gave you. What you gave me? My anger surged. You gave me criticism, comparison, and conditional love. And when I couldn't handle the pressure, you threw me away like I was nothing. My father appeared then, drawn by the commotion. His face went through the same progression as my mother's, recognition, confusion, panic. Athena, he said, his voice carefully controlled, this isn't the time or place. Really? Because you seem to have plenty to say about me in your speech, I shot back. All those lies about how proud you are, about my successful overseas business, about family bonds. Should we tell everyone the truth, Dad? Should we tell them you haven't spoken to me in 5 years? That you told me I was no longer your daughter? People were definitely watching now. Conversations died down. I saw Cassandra pushing through the crowd, face pale with alarm. Athena, please, my father said, trying to maintain composure. You're making a scene. I'm making a scene? I laughed bitterly. You've been making up an entire fictional life for me. You've been using my real success, which you know nothing about, to make yourselves look like supportive parents, and now you're upset I'm calling you out on it. Cassandra reached us. What's going on? Your sister decided to show up uninvited and create drama at your graduation party, my mother said sharply. Just like her to try to ruin your special day. Uninvited? I turned to Cassandra. Funny thing about that. I overheard your phone conversation earlier. The one where you told Mom how relieved you were that I didn't know about the party and wouldn't show up. The one where you discussed stealing my inheritance? Cassandra's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. I recorded it, I said, pulling out my phone. Would you like me to play it for everyone here? Let them hear you and Mom plotting to claim I forfeited my trust fund. Let them hear you laugh about how I threw my life away. You're insane. Cassandra spat. You always were unstable and dramatic. I was struggling, I corrected her coldly. I was depressed and anxious and desperate for help. And instead of supporting me, you mocked me. All of you did. You made me feel worthless until I believed it myself. Professor Howard cleared his throat. I think everyone here needs to hear something. I taught Athena in college. She was one of the most talented students I've ever had. When she left, I was devastated because I knew she had incredible potential, but I also knew she was struggling with something deeper than just academic stress. He looked directly at my parents. A good family would have helped her through that struggle. Instead, from what I'm hearing tonight, you abandoned her when she needed you most, and now you're trying to take credit for her success and steal her inheritance. That's not family. That's exploitation. My father's face was red with anger and embarrassment. You have no right to judge our family decisions. You don't know the full story. Then enlighten us, Dr. Gregory said quietly. The crowd around us had grown. People were whispering. Phones were out. My parents' image was crumbling in real time. My mother tried one more time. Athena has always been troubled. We tried everything, but she refused our support. When she dropped out, we were devastated. We gave her space, we've been searching for her for years. That's a lie, I said firmly. You told me never to contact you again. You changed your phone numbers. You made it clear I was dead to you. I didn't disappear. You erased me. And the only reason you're upset now is because I showed up and ruined the pretty story you've been telling everyone. Jordan, my business partner, suddenly appeared at my elbow. Everything okay here? He asked, but his tone made it clear he knew it wasn't. Jordan, I said gratefully. These are my parents. Parents, this is Jordan, my business partner. We run Athena Design Agency together. Perhaps you'd like to see the portfolio Dad supposedly keeps in his office? Except you can't, because he doesn't actually have one, because he has no idea what I've been doing for the past 5 years. Jordan pulled out his tablet and opened our website. Athena Design Agency, he said, turning the screen so everyone nearby could see. Founded 3 years ago. Currently employs 15 people. Annual revenue last year was just over $2 million. Clients all over the country, including several Fortune 500 companies. He swiped through the portfolio. This is what Athena built after you threw her out. She started with nothing. She slept on couches. She worked 3 jobs while teaching herself advanced design skills. She did all of this alone, and she's been incredibly successful. My mother stared at the screen, her face unreadable. My father's jaw was clenched. Cassandra looked like she'd been slapped. $2 million, my father said, the greed clear in his voice. That's revenue, not profit, Jordan clarified. But yes, the business is quite successful. Athena is one of the most sought-after designers in Nashville, which makes it particularly galling that you've been taking credit for her success while actually trying to steal her inheritance. We weren't stealing, my mother protested weakly. We were simply claiming what was rightfully ours after she abandoned the family. I have a recording that says otherwise, I reminded her. Cassandra was very clear on the phone about the plan to claim I forfeited my trust fund. I'm sure a judge would be very interested to hear it. Professor Howard spoke up again. I think what's most disturbing here is the pattern of behavior. You didn't just kick Athena out when she was vulnerable. You've spent 5 years lying about her, using her success to bolster your own reputation, and now attempting to steal from her. This isn't a misunderstanding or a family disagreement. This is systematic abuse and fraud. Several people in the crowd nodded. Dr. Gregory addressed my parents directly. I've known your family for several years. I've always respected you, but what I'm hearing tonight is deeply troubling. If even half of what your daughter says is true, you've behaved abominably. It's all true, I said firmly. Every word, and I can prove it. I have documentation. I have the recording. I have witnesses to my mental state when they abandoned me. I have 5 years of building a life completely separate from them with no support or contact. My father tried one last time to regain control. Athena, you're being vindictive. Yes, we made mistakes. But we're still your family. We can work through this privately. Now you want to be private? I asked incredulously. After you publicly lied about me all evening? You don't get to choose when to be public and when to be private based on what's convenient for you. Jordan leaned close. The lawyer is here. I called him after you texted. He's waiting outside. I nodded and turned back to my parents. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow morning, you're going to meet with my lawyer. You're going to provide complete documentation of the trust fund my grandmother left me. You're going to sign papers stating you have no claim to that money and will not attempt to interfere with my access to it. And you're going to do it quickly and quietly. And if we refuse, my father challenged. Then I go to every person here tonight and tell them the full story, I said. I play them the recording of Cassandra. I provide them with documentation of everything you've done. I make sure everyone in your social circle, everyone you do business with, everyone who thinks you're upstanding citizens, knows exactly what kind of people you really are. I'll destroy the reputation you care about so much. My mother's face had gone from pale to flushed. You wouldn't dare. Try me, I said coldly. I have nothing to lose. You already took everything from me once. I rebuilt without you. I don't need your money or your approval, but I'll be damned if I let you steal from me and pretend to be proud parents while doing it. Cassandra finally found her voice. This is insane. You show up here after 5 years and threaten us? I didn't threaten you, I corrected. I offered you a choice. Sign over what's rightfully mine or face the consequences of your actions. It's really quite simple. Jordan checked his watch. The lawyer is waiting. Athena, we should go. Let them think about their options overnight. I looked at my family one last time. My mother was crying now, careful tears that didn't ruin her makeup. My father looked furious but trapped. Cassandra just looked stunned. Her perfect graduation party had become a public spectacle. Congratulations on your graduation, Cassandra, I said. I hope it was everything you dreamed of. Then I turned and walked toward the exit, Jordan beside me, leaving my family standing in the middle of their horrified guests. The lawyer, Marcus, was waiting. Athena, he greeted me. Jordan filled me in. This is quite a situation. I told him everything, the disowning, the lies, the overheard phone conversation, the recording. Do you have documentation of the trust fund? Marcus asked. Copies of the original documents, I confirmed. I never accessed it. I wanted to prove I could make it on my own, but I kept all the paperwork. He nodded, then listened to the recording. This is excellent evidence of intent to defraud, combined with their public lies and witness testimony. We have a strong case. What happens now? I asked. Now we move quickly, Marcus said. Tomorrow morning, I'll send a formal letter demanding a meeting. I'll outline what we know and what we're prepared to do. Given their reputation, and that several respected people witnessed tonight's confrontation, they'll agree. Your grandmothers will had no conditions about education or contact. The money is yours. Any attempt to claim otherwise is fraud. Relief washed over me. So, I can actually get the money? You can, and you will, Marcus confirmed. But what do you want beyond the money? Criminal charges? Emotional damages? Go public? I considered it. Part of me wanted to burn their lives to the ground. But another part just wanted to be free. I want my money. I want them to sign legal documents stating they have no claim and will never contact me again. And I want them to stop lying about me. They don't get to use my success to make themselves look good anymore. Marcus nodded. Reasonable and achievable. Jordan put his hand on my shoulder. You did good in there. I know that couldn't have been easy. It was terrifying, I admitted, but also necessary. I've been running from them for 5 years. Tonight, I finally stopped running. We went over details for another half hour. By the time we finished, it was nearly 10 p.m. As if reading my mind, Jordan's phone buzzed. A text from Professor Howard. Just wanted you to know that several people came up to me after you left asking about your agency. I gave them your contact information. I think tonight might end up being good for business. I had to laugh. My family's attempt to maintain their perfect image had spectacularly backfired. Not only had I exposed their lies, but I'd also potentially gained new clients. Jordan drove me home. As I unlocked my apartment door, the familiar space felt like a sanctuary. Thank you for coming, I said. I don't know what I would have done without you. That's what partners are for, he smiled. Besides, I wouldn't have missed seeing you take down your terrible family for anything. It was epic. After he left, I made a cup of tea, sat on my couch, and looked around at the life I'd built. Every piece of furniture, every comfort, earned through my own hard work. My family had given me nothing, and I owed them nothing. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. Dr. Gregory, after tonight's revelations, I want you to know that my offer for the medical school project still stands. In fact, I'm more impressed than ever by what you've accomplished. Let's schedule that meeting for next week. You've earned this opportunity. I smiled and typed back a confirmation. The meeting with my parents and their lawyer happened 3 days later in Marcus's office. The tension in the room was thick. Their lawyer tried to take control immediately. My clients are willing to discuss a settlement regarding the trust fund, but they want assurances that this matter will remain private. Marcus didn't blink. Your clients attempted to defraud my client. They have no leverage. We're not negotiating. We're informing them. He slid copies of documents across the table. These are the terms: complete access to the trust fund, a legal document stating no claim to that money, now or ever, cease all contact with Athena unless she initiates it, and immediately stop using her name, her success, or any reference to her in your social or professional circles. My father started to speak, but Marcus held up his hand. If you fail to comply, we will pursue criminal fraud charges. We will also provide copies of the recording and witness statements from the graduation party to your colleagues, friends, and business associates. The choice is yours. Their lawyer looked at the documents, then at my parents. My mother was crying again, real tears this time. My father looked defeated. Cassandra stared at the table, refusing to meet my eyes. "This is extortion," their lawyer said weakly. "No," Marcus corrected. "This is justice. Your clients can sign these papers and move on with their lives minus the money they tried to steal and the daughter they tried to exploit, or they can refuse, and we'll make sure everyone knows exactly what they did. Their reputation will be destroyed, and they'll still lose the trust fund case. This way, at least they can maintain some dignity." There was a long silence. Finally, my father spoke. "How much is in the trust fund?" "That's none of your concern anymore," Marcus said. "But for the record, it's enough that Athena will be quite comfortable. More than comfortable, actually." My mother looked at me then, really looked at me. "How can you do this to your own family? You stopped being my family 5 years ago when you threw me out," I said, my voice steady. "I'm just making sure you can't hurt me anymore." "We made mistakes," she said desperately. "But we're still your parents. Doesn't that mean anything?" "It used to," I said quietly. "It used to mean everything. But you taught me that love is conditional. That I'm only worth caring about if I meet your standards. That my pain and struggles don't matter if they're inconvenient for you. You taught me those lessons very well." Cassandra finally spoke, her voice small. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things on the phone." "You're not sorry you said them," I corrected. "You're sorry I heard them and recorded them. There's a difference." Marcus tapped the documents. "We need an answer. Sign or we proceed." My father picked up the pen. "This isn't over," he said as he signed. "Yes, it is," I replied. "This is exactly as over as it gets." One by one, they signed. My mother, my father, even Cassandra. Each signature felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. When it was done, Marcus collected the papers. "You'll receive notification when the trust fund transfer is complete, within the week." My parents stood to leave. My mother paused at the door, looking back one last time. "I hope you'll be happy," she said. And for a moment, she almost sounded sincere. "I already am," I said. "I have been for a while now. I just had to learn to find it without you." They left, and I sat there in the sudden quiet of the conference room. Marcus smiled at me. "How do you feel?" "Free," I said simply. "For the first time in my life, I feel completely free." The trust fund transfer was completed 5 days later. The amount was substantial. My grandmother had invested wisely, and the fund had grown significantly. Combined with my business income, I was genuinely wealthy now. But the money wasn't what mattered most. What mattered was that I'd faced the people who had hurt me, refused to let them control my narrative, exposed their lies, protected my interests, and cut them out of my life permanently. The medical school contract came through the following week. Dr. Gregory made a point of telling me it was mine based on merit, not pity or drama. My agency's work spoke for itself. My parents never recovered their reputation. Word spread quickly about what happened at Cassandra's graduation. Their friends distanced themselves, my father's business suffered. My mother withdrew from her social clubs. Cassandra completed her degree, but struggled to find a good residency placement. The recordings and witness statements had made their way through the medical community, and her ethics were questioned. She eventually moved to another state, trying to start fresh where no one knew her story. They had built their lives on appearances and reputation, and when those crumbled, they had nothing left to stand on. 6 months later, I stood in my expanded office space, watching my team work on projects that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. The success felt real now, earned and unshakable. I'd learned that you don't need your family's approval to build a meaningful life. Sometimes the family you deserve is the one you create for yourself. And sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, but simply becoming so successful, so happy, so free that their opinions no longer matter. I walked away from them at that graduation party, and I've never looked back. That was the moment I truly won. So, what do you think? Have you ever had to cut ties with family who just couldn't see you for who you really are? What would you have done in my shoes that night? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts.